Longmeadow and East Longmeadow were all originally one town. We were the town of Longmeadow. We started having differences in 1865. One of them was that we had way more people living in East Longmeadow than in Longmeadow, due to the quarries and the amount of jobs available for people. East Longmeadow always won the majority of the votes because it had a greater population. Longmeadow was upset that they lost every time they voted on the town issues. The main reason we split was because East Longmeadow made a lot of money and they thought they paid plenty of taxes. And Longmeadow thought we should pay more. We split July 1st, 1894, and it took us 4 tries to split. When we split, East Longmeadow got 13.4% of Longmeadow when we did. My final important fact is the boundary that divides us is a mile long. 3 fun facts are: 1. Sanford Nooney was the last born boy in Longmeadow before we split. And the parts of Connecticut, such as Somers and Enfield, used to be part of Springfield in the 1600s. Third, when Longmeadow and East Longmeadow were still one town, the Longmeadow Town Hall was on the Longmeadow side near William Street. Longmeadowdies would be sneaky and mean and make us go to their town hall in the middle of winter just to get back at us and make us miserable.
Some other reasons for the split included arguments over town repairs. When the West Longmeadow asked for a sidewalk, East Longmeadow wanted one twice as long. If the West wanted a new section of the town or the street, the East side would double that. The largest argument came up over the town hall. A new town hall was needed, and people fought over where it should be. After a couple more arguments, we really wanted to split. After 4 attempts, we finally split on July 11th, 1894. Then, after we split, Longmeadow threw a huge party with only 2 EL members invited. It was to celebrate from being away from us. It was held on the Longmeadow Green. Then we built Central School, which was where the 4th of July Carnival is today. We had a mile-long boundary that was just trees, rocks, and etc. It also separates us still today.
There are 7 streets connecting to the Rotary, and they are Prospect Street, Shaker Road, Maple Street, North Main Street, Elm Street, Pleasant Street, and Summers Road. The Rotary has no traffic lights and only has 5 stop signs. Another fact is the Rotary started to come together in the early 1800s. Originally, the roads were just packed down dirt paths by people and their horses or oxen trying to get around the area. The East Longmeadow Rotary was in the Ripley, believe it or not, for having a 7th-street intersection with having no traffic lights. The Rotary used to be full of trees, grasses, and bushes, but the greenery took up so much space they took it down, leaving it bare and full of nothing but concrete. A lot of cars go through the Rotary each day. In May 29, 1989, it was record that an average 39,244 cars passed through the Rotary each day. Our population has increased from 13,000 to over 25,000 today. Therefore, even more cars pass through it today.
We have the largest Rotary in the world. Not only is it the largest, but it is one of the most dangerous. People have been talking about changing it for years, but they never thought of a way that would make sense. But there have been committees to fix it in the past to help with traffic. The Rotary used to have 2 churches before we took one down to make more room. The Congregational Church still stands. The land in the front is protected for use. Therefore, it cannot be destroyed. To change the Rotary, nobody can build on it.
East Longmeadow is a quarry town because we are sitting on top of large amounts of rock that people wanted to use for buildings. The rock that East Longmeadow has is brownstone and redstone. Iron in the rock turns it a red color. More iron, the redder the stone. It was made by the glacier in the Ice Age. The glacier created the Pioneer Valley. The glacier scraped its way down the mountainside and carved a large chunk out of the ground. As it slid down and slowly melted, it smushed dirt particles down lower into the ground. As they got back together, they became layers of sedimentary rock. Lots of the rock beneath East Longmeadow that That is how our rock was formed years and years ago. Eventually, we became world famous for our redstone and brownstone. At one point, East Longmeadow had over 50 quarries.
Quarries are places where people mine rock. Some of the quarries near Summers Road in East Longmeadow are McGregory, Pratt, Burton, and Granger. Moody, Beebe, Menard, and King are all near Elm Street. Burton, Ashley, and Glen are all near Maple Shade Ave. Kibbe and Hines are along Kibbe Road, and Malone is on Prospect Street. Some of the people that worked at the quarries would sculpt the stone by having two men swing an 8-pound sledge onto a drill every 3 seconds and 40 times per minute. The average worker's day consisted of 9 hours of extreme manual labor. Newly quarried stone had to be thoroughly dried out to make sure it didn't freeze and crack. It was hard to sculpt stone because it was exhausting work and it took a long time to do. A typical worker's dinner contained 2 thick slices of buttered bread, a slice of cold meat or cheese, 1 donut, 1 slice of cake, 2 pieces of pie, and 2 cups of tea or coffee. The men would play billiards, pitch quotes, read books or newspapers, or just sit on the fence and play a harmonica or sing songs during their break. During 1876 to 1900, when quarrying was at its highest point, as many as 17 carloads of stone would leave on a train.
The East Longmeadow Railroad was built in the 1840s and used till the 1980s. The railroad was extended all the way here from Springfield. The railroad was extended 1.4 miles through East Longmeadow. The station still stands off of Maple Street, right near the old town hall. The company that built the railroad was the New York and New England Railroad Company. In 1895, the companies went bankrupt and was reorganized as the New England Railroad Company. When the quarries were at their highest production rates, the East Longmeadow passenger train started. In the 1900s, the freight trains stopped because there was no use for them because the quarrying stopped also. In the 1980s, the railroad completely shut down. The town turned the old railroad into the rail trail where you can ride your bike now. The historic train station is currently a debate in town today. It may be destroyed unless we preserve and protect it.
The Norcross brothers, James Atkinson, born March 24, 1831, in Orlando, Norcross, born October 26, 1839. They were skilled construction carpenters and they opened their own construction company, and in 1869 they opened their business in Worcester. Because of their need for stone, a primary building material of the time, the brothers eventually had their own stone quarries, first in Connecticut, Branford, and in Massachusetts, later in Westchester County, New York, and Georgia. They also established a factory in Worcester where they had manufactured architectural buildings. Their main house was made out of beautiful East Longmeadow brownstone in Worcester, Massachusetts. They built the summer house on 89 Maple Street in 1878. They were the richest people in town due to all the money they made in the quarries. According to evidence found in a research of deeds, the home of Mr. and Mrs. Willard L. Grilla, 222 Porter Road, was built in 1742 by Joseph Burke. The house and many acres of land remained in the John Hancock family from 1742 to 1921. In fact, a portion of the land was deeded to the town for a burial ground, villa ground, so-called, and its upkeep today is still maintained on interest from the original grant. The Hancock House, as it is known, has 2 fireplaces, the one in the dining room being flanked by 2 bake ovens. The Gralias treasure the 2 original old metal paddles that were used with these ovens. The dining room and den have large horizontal planks on the walls and the original wide pine flooring throughout the hand-hewn beam with pegs and still remaining bark are in the attic. Next to the main house is a small building that was once a blacksmith shop, later a milk house. It was later added to and modernized and used as an office during the tenancy of the late Dr. Joseph Redden. The Mervyn Pease House at 191 Pease Road has been accepted by the Heritage Conservation and Recreation Service for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. This house, now owned by Mr. and Mrs. Ernest H. Page, is considered a good example of a federal-style farmhouse. Located on a rural Pease Road at the base of Spooks Hill, it is thought to have been built by Benjamin Swetland at about 1793 and was for many years the residence of the family for whom Pease Road was named after, Mervyn Pease. The house has 4 fireplaces, including one native brownstone with original crane in the kitchen and one unique raised hearth in the master bedroom. The dining room has hand-rolled glass panes and gunstock corner posts. The main attic has hand-hewn pegs and beams. The cellar contains a pit where ashes were preserved for soap making, and the cellar beams were supported by an old sleigh runner placed by someone there long ago. The Mervyn Pease House is the 3rd building in town to be listed on the National Register. The first was the Elijah Burt House at 201 Chestnut Street, and the second was the First Congregational Church.
210 Hamden Road was established in the year of 1812 on hand-hewn timbers and handmade nails. Abel Pease purchased the house in 1862 and added the upright in 1863. The clapboard house had a casket door and a redstone foundation. In addition to the house, the property also contains a horse barn, a cow barn, a 2-story barn, and shed. It was originally a farm with 116 acres of land, but only 1 acre remains as a part of the property. In 1894, it was bought by Abel Pease's son, F.B. Pease, then purchased by his sister, Mrs. Lily E. Pease Nooney, who gave birth to Sanford Nooney. Sanford was the last born boy when East Longmeadow was still Longmeadow. Then we split and became our own town of East Longmeadow. From 1949 to 1962, Sanford P. Nooney operated Nooney's Hardware. Nooney's Hardware was a gathering place for townsfolk interested in knowing his view. The Nooney family owned the house for many years. They sold the house to Lucas's, then the Millers purchased it on April 1st, 2016 for $315,000. Those were some interesting facts about the history of the house at 210 Hamden Road in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts.
95 Maple Street is a small house under an acre of land. There are a total of 1.5 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms. There are a total of 8 rooms. The Silverwood-made house is built in 1870. There have still been many additions and remodels done over the years, but it still looks historical. It stands out in town because it's surrounded by beautiful gardens and its painted colors look like a house in a fairy tale. A greenhouse was added in 2012. 164 Parker Street is a beautiful house that was made in 1829. This white house used to be a farmhouse with over 60 acres of land. Some owners were Robert and Mary Louise Kemp, and the Levine family lived in the house from 1986 to present. Original owners worked in quarries. The house's barn was demolished in 2007. They added an addition in 2012. This property is currently for sale.
The Elijah Burt House, 201 Chestnut Street, built in 1720, it was the first local building to be accepted in the National Register of Historic Places. It was purchased by the Bergamini family. There are 4 original fireplaces. There are 2 beehive ovens that were once the only source of heat and cooking in the house. Now they add only character and history to the home. The house also features wide floorboards, gunstock framing, and paneled walls. The theory is that it was part of the Underground Railroad, and secret passages held runaway slaves before the Civil War days. This is the oldest house in East Longmeadow.
It was the first ever schoolhouse. It was built in 1791. The ceiling to the schoolhouse is curved. In 1869, the school was drawn by oxen to its new address at 232 Prospect Street, East Longmeadow. After that happened, they held it up with gunstock posts and added a bottom floor beneath it. It became the second story of our home. They kept on adding till it was a full house. The first ever people to move in were the Belches.
East Longmeadow Center School was built about in 1890 and consisted of 4 classrooms in the school. They added 4 more classrooms that cost $12,000, which was completed in 1912. In 1969, the old center school was changed to accommodate modern students. In October 4th, 1971, town meetings vote brought the end of the proud old school, and it was demolished. Pleasant View School was built in 1916. They built it on the corner of Westwood Ave and the North Main Street. The total cost of the school was $19,990,100. In 1926, $400 was appropriated to purchase the land by Julia Knopp. At the end of the Girard Ave, Pleasant View School was closed in 1969 when it was replaced by the new modern Meadowbrook School on Parker Street. Pleasant View was also closed due to years of overcrowding. Classrooms were once held in the middle of the halls due to lack of space.
In 1947, children went to two different schools. By 1949, 7th grade kids had to attend to city schools, and there was no junior high or high school. They went to Classical or Commerce in Springfield. In September of 1951, the first junior high school was built. It contained grades 6 through 8. Once the school was built, it contained bright and cheerful corridors leading to classrooms. The classrooms were flexible in size. A new East Longmeadow, Massachusetts Birchland Park Middle School was built in 1999. It holds up to 640 kids, 6th through 8th grade. The school is 2 stories. The school stands on 55 Hammer Hill, East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. All of the kids that had to go to city schools no longer had to go and could just go to Birchland Park Middle School. Birchland Park Middle School still stands today in 2017. Now we have a junior high.
1952. Voters had a special town meeting in February. Voters agreed to appropriate $741,896 to develop the site and complete the building. It was a 16-classroom building. The main lobby allows you access to the public areas of the building. Mapleshade School had a lot of natural lighting and many wall-to-ceiling windows. However, they covered many windows with brick years later to help save on heating costs. It is still standing today. Grades 3 through 5 attend classes there. It is the sister school of Mountain View.
East Longmeadow Mountain View School was built in 1960. The land was bought by the town from the Markham family. Mountain View School stands on 77 Hamden Road, East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. They made the school that was a payment of $930,000 for the construction site work and equipment of a new elementary school. Every class has at least 20 less kids in a room. In Mountain View School, there are about 23 classrooms. Now, all the classrooms in Mountain View School have heating. The school only has 1 floor. The 4th and 5th have to share a hallway, and the 3rd has its own hallway, and it still stands today.
High school. East Longmeadow didn't have a high school, so students had to attend classes in Springfield. Eventually, the town realized they needed their own high school in 1950. They had 3 possible sites that the high school could have been built on, for example, Chestnut Street. East Longmeadow High School was built in 1960 and was opened in 1961. The full high school cost over $2 million just for construction. An additional $130,000 was given for an indoor swimming pool. The colors for the high school are red and gray, but they used to be magenta and black. Grades in the high school go from 9th to 12th grade. The high school has many athletics, including track, golf, swimming, soccer, wrestling, hockey, football, volleyball, tennis, baseball, and much more. The high school's mascot is the Spartan. A high school student was the one who won the mascot contest and is responsible for making us the Spartans. Meadowbrook School. Meadowbrook School is at Parker Street and Porter Road. Meadowbrook School is open on February 24, 1969. It has grades preschool through second grade. Kindergarten students were able to attend the new school for the first time in September 1969. The school cost $1,415,000 for construction. It is similar in design to Mountain View School that was built in 1960. The school is intended to accommodate 600 to 700 pupils. It is still in use today.
Clarence B. Cooley. Clarence B. Cooley was a descendant of Ben Cooley, an early settler of Longmeadow. His grandparents were Charles and Frances Burton. He was born in East Longmeadow on June 23, 1896. He was the son of Charles L. and Clara Burton. Cooley Street in Springfield was named after his family. He wrote a book about his memories of growing up in East Longmeadow. Some of his memories included Hunn's Store, Cooley's Store, Large Farmers, the churches, and how I got into the monkey business. Leo M. Spade. He served on the Appropriation Committee from 1937 to 1957. People say that he had built the town. He started building homes with his brother named Edward B. In the 1920s, they followed their father. After World War II, he still kept on building like Hanward Hill, Spate Arden, Bay and Baymore Streets, Donamore Lane, Cheddar Hill, and Powder Hill. He wrote 2 books about the town. One book was about Hill Cabin. It was an old property he got that he was going to turn into more houses. Instead, he heard that it had a historical past, and he wrote about it. It dated back to the 1600s.
The town hall was built in 1882. It was the new town hall for Longmeadow. It became the town hall for East Longmeadow after the split in 1894. The Northwest Brownstone Company donated all the brownstone for the building. At first, the town hall was partially used for a grammar school on the first floor. Offices were upstairs. Currently, there is departments within the town hall. Some of them are the assessor, town clerk, planning and zoning, and the town manager. The town is Denise Menard, and she oversees various town responsibilities and departments. The town clerk is responsible for keeping records. The assessor deals with administering taxes. The zoning and planning departments, led by Robin McDonald, oversees development of land.
In 1922, East Longmeadow developed its first organized police department. Before, they only had 1 patrolman. The East Longmeadow Police Department has been established to provide them a high level of safety, security, and service to the townspeople. Some typical East Longmeadow Police Department pieces are computers, radios, telephone systems, and cruisers. Inside the department on Shaker Road, you can see about 7 jail cells. There are also many old photos of town officers and police cars from over the years. New computers are in each cop car. The cruiser locates criminals and look up information on people. The facts they get from the computers help them do their job and keep us safe. In 1940, Edward Cromwell, police sheriff, he presented the town a gift of bleachers for the athletic field in memory of his brother Arthur Cromwell.
In 1912, the very first firefighting apparatus, 300-gallon tanks were purchased. Its cost was $350 and was pulled by hand. The first fire station was built at the rear of the town hall in 1923. In 1925, $5,000 was spent to make a fire station on Shaker Road. May 8, 1979, $85,000 was purchased for a fully equipped pumper.
Mark Burgios, fire chief from 1939 to his retirement in 1966. Edward Leahy, fire chief from 1966 to 1968. Forrest Goodrich, fire chief from 1968 to 1992. The East Longmeadow Fire Department has 31 members. The mission today of the East Longmeadow Fire Department is to protect your property and keep people safe.
An overview. East Longmeadow may be a small town of 13.2 square miles in size, but it has a very historical past. We have a 1-mile boundary with Longmeadow. We were once world famous for our unique brownstone and redstone. Quarries were operated around the clock. People coming to town helped us grow. We are also famous for the Rotary. Many visitors are stunned at the organized chaos of our center. Our streets are named after some of our most prominent citizens. The Underground Railroad even plays a part in our history. This rich history and the safe local environment are just some of the reasons people love this town.